in 1996, the Universal House of Justice sent a letter to various communities around the world at Rizwan at the beginning of the year. And in this, in the one that was directed to the believers in North America, there was specific instruction for various populations. To people of African descent, they asked us to go to Africa. And in their words, they said, please go and be a source of encouragement and inspiration to the African believers, who they said who are poised for great victories. And so the gathering decided that we would do that. In the first year, 9 of us went to Southern Africa. We went to Botswana, to South Africa, to Angola. We went there and visited with communities. Oh, Namibia. How could I forget Namibia? And visited various Baha'i communities and provided encouragement and support. And of course, it was also a learning experience for us. Really very powerful experience. And so each year after that, we would send a contingent of men of the gathering to these various communities. It really helped us to really realize the impact and capacity that the Baha'i faith can have, not only on us as individuals, but on others, and how we could play a dynamic role in enabling and assisting other communities to rise to their own capacity. There are many stories and many experiences that people in the gathering had when they made visits to these various communities. And it really was eye-opening because, first of all, for a person coming from this country, a person of African descent coming from this country, visiting the homeland of their ancestors, it's a very moving experience because, for example, many people have never been in an environment where they look around and everybody looks like them. There is a sense of wonder, really, about how one can thrive in that experience, simply because you're not always looking over your shoulder wondering if there's some negative energy coming in your direction, or worried about being accused of something. Then the other thing is the spirit of the people is so open and so refreshing, and it's so reminiscent of who we understand as our family. So, for example, if you come to my home, if I come to your home, I never go empty-handed. You just don't do it. You know, you always bring something. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it's something, you know, to say, thank you for your hospitality. If I come to your home, of course I bring something, but you always have something to nourish me. Some kind of food, something is there. So in Africa, we could see that time and time and time again. You know, when we would go to villages and in very rural areas, the people of that village would gather and they would welcome us. And they'd say, first of all, you must drink. Once we sort of were welcomed appropriately, then people would say, now, what is the news that you bring? You come to us from such a long way. In some instances, we would arrive, for example, we arrived at the temple grounds in Kampala in Uganda. And there were a group of believers who had gathered there with their instruments and drums and signs to welcome us. Well, who ever heard of such a thing here in this country? You see, where men of African descent were somehow treasured. You know, it really affected us very, very deeply. I think it marked us in a way with the understanding that our role in supporting and helping to build this new world civilization, in part, had to do with what we knew, but also with who we are. And I think that's something that we will never, ever forget.